She was the fashion model, actress, and world-famous mother to Diddy's kids. A shocked and devastated Diddy spotted at the home where his ex suddenly and mysteriously died. TMZ reporting she had been suffering from flu-like symptoms and possibly pneumonia, but an official cause has yet to be released.
Respond with engine 76 on scene of the cardiac arrest.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said it was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms.
How am I just now finding out that not only was Corey Gamble extremely close to Kim Porter and Diddy, he was there when the coroners arrived.
Her good friend Kimora Lee Simmons appearing inconsolable at the house.
And according to this blind item, he allegedly knew she was going to pass away before she did.
It seems suspicious to me, and I think they need to reopen it. Welcome to BJ Investigates. Like I promised, we got to talk about Kim Porter and the moments leading up to her tragic passing. I did request her autopsy report, and I do have it here. I've already made a couple videos, and I did address it on the last podcast episode that we did, so make sure to check that out. But there was a couple things that I really still wanted to talk about and get off my chest about this thing. Okay, so I have it right here, and we're not going to do a line by line. I want to do a line by line. If y'all know a medical examiner or a coroner who's not a total creep weirdo, I would like them to come on my other channel, ThatSurpriseWitness, and do a line by line, but that's not what we're doing today. What we're going to do today is talk about a few of the things that I didn't see mentioned anywhere in the media and that are in this autopsy result. Well, this I've already mentioned, but did you know that the day that Kim Porter was found unalive in her bed, or unresponsive, I should say, in her bed, somebody had slept in the bed with her the night before, at least according to the autopsy report? On here, it says that her goddaughter awoke next to or beside, let me find it. Oh my God, I have all these notes all over the place. Why did in the lung cultures grow bacteria in the petri dish? That's my question. Okay, somebody was saying something about ricin poisoning. We gotta look that up. All these bacterias, one called, literally feces is in the name. I mean, fecalis, so Latin, but F-A-E-E-A, whatever. The decedent, that's Kim Porter, lived in the residence at the above location with her 2 minor children, and also says that living with her in the house was her friend and her friend's daughter. Who is that? Do y'all know? Somebody comment below. Was it Kimora Lee Simmons and Aoki? I'm always trying to rope in Kimora Lee Simmons and Aoki. Future yacht girl of America, of the world.
Because you are going to be a great servant.
So she's living there with a friend and her daughter and her 2 minor children. I'm assuming it's got to be those twins. That's the only ones left that's minors. Then it goes on to say, the decedent's goddaughter, and they don't give us a name for who this person is. The decedent's goddaughter, who was visiting the decedent, had been staying at the residence since November 12th, 2018, and she died on November 15th, or that's when she was pronounced dead. So it was like 3 days leading up to her death. Her goddaughter was, quote, visiting, but some people pointed this out in the comments yesterday, and I have to agree with them. They were like, wait a second. The next day she got up and went to work, but she was visiting? So she has a job in the city she's visiting? I mean, she could have even went to work an hour away somewhere in Orange County or something. But how is she, like, she's visiting, but she has a job there. So either she maybe just got the job, or maybe she doesn't live that far away. It's a clue either way. And she's old enough to have a job, assuming that she's like legally working, but I'm sure she is. Like, she also is the one that's accredited with giving Kim Porter that deep tissue massage the day before she died or whatever. Anyway, so it says her goddaughter was visiting and she had been staying at the residence for 3 days. It goes on to say, you know, she had no pertinent medical history. And on this part, this is where I would expect them to say she had been battling pneumonia for 3 weeks, because that is what we saw in the headlines at the time. Kim Porter reportedly was battling pneumonia for weeks. They gave her saline and vitamins to treat it. So I would expect that to be pertinent medical history. None such is listed. She developed these flu-like symptoms. She calls this doctor. We don't get his or her name, the doctor, but I just can't help but remember that the doctor, Michael Jackson's, was basically poisoning him and killed him. 2 of them, his dermatologist and his regular doctor. Then you had Kanye West's doctor calling and 5150ing him in 2016.
Dr. Michael Farzam called 911 after the singer acted erratically at his trainer's house.
He was threatened. This is a trainer. Come to find out, he was actually Canadian intelligence, but this is my trainer.
And it's like these Hollywood house call doctors. Britney Spears has said that she was basically tortured in some Beverly Hills, Holmby Hills house by a doctor who's now now dead. She had traveled to Africa like a month before she died, but she wasn't sick from that. She said she felt fine. Like, it wasn't that. It was just a few days before she died, she started feeling like flu symptoms, like flu-like symptoms. And they tested her for the flu. They gave her the flu test and they gave her the strep throat test, and they were both negative. Now, the night before she passed away, which would have been November 14th, she claimed that she was feeling better and she was watching movies with her kids or with her family or with the people in the house, some way, somehow. She was watching movies. That's what it says here. I don't know, girl. They might have had her chained up in a dungeon. I don't know if any of this stuff is real. I'm just telling y'all what it says in this public record. Anybody can get this.
Who is the person giving this report?
Well, it says Detective Peteque, Peteque, and he gave his badge number 27723. So the other person giving is this, see this black? Take a picture of it and put it on the edit, but like MD. It's a medical doctor. So it says information sources, Detective Peteque and this doctor. And then Peteque kind of gives like a third-hand information story, witness statement, like he talked to people on the scene, and then he gives it. So he's like, oh yeah, like she was watching Disney movies last night or whatever. I just made up Disney. I assume she was because it was like kids. Her kids were there or whatever. I'm sure they weren't watching, you know, Step Brothers. Maybe they were, girl. I don't know. So she watched movies the night before she died, and she went to bed about 11:30 p.m. Then it says the following morning, approximately 8:30 in the morning, the goddaughter, quote, awoke beside the decedent and observed her to be sleeping. Okay, it says awoke beside. That means woke up next to. I'll put the definition of beside right here. What does that mean to y'all? In the next room? In the downstairs? No, hell no. It means she was in the bed with her. So the question becomes, was she actually? Who is this goddaughter? Is this an alibi? Oh, nothing could have happened to Kim Porter because somebody was sleeping in a bed with her all night and it was her goddaughter. Nobody would have done anything to her that night. They wouldn't have poisoned her. Now, we do have Jaguar Wright saying that Kim Porter was poisoned. We also have Al B. Shore, who's Kim Porter's ex. Him and P. Diddy are both Kim Porter's exes. And they both have kids together. All three of them have kids together, including Diddy kind of raising one of Al B. Shore's kids, Quincy. Well, we have Jaguar Wright saying that it was a poisoning and now it's a cover-up. And we have Al B. Shore saying it was a murder.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said it was ruled a homicide and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms.
We also have, you know, some speculation coming from Aubrey O'Day, who is, oh man, the web is webbing. Aubrey O'Day used to date Donald Trump Jr. And who was it that Kanye West flew to just 2 weeks after he was psychiatrically incarcerated in 2016? Remember, he was like, for years, Kanye West went on interviews and said that was traumatizing. When they put me in that hospital, they isolated me from everybody I know. They did things to me. They medicated me against my will. Where did he go 2 weeks after that? They canceled his tour. He was on the middle of an international tour.
Kanye West is hospitalized today after a string of several bizarre recent incidents.
Kanye West canceled his concert here in LA tonight just hours after ranting and then walking off the stage in Sacramento.
They want to monetize and traumatize.
They stopped him in LA, canceled the rest of the tour because he was ranting, and he went with Corey Handler Gamble to the White House to talk to Donald Trump. Who's Donald Trump's son? Donald Trump Jr. He was dating Aubrey O'Day. And now you have Aubrey O'Day coming out saying, yeah, my ex, Donald Trump Jr., he's on DJ Academics talking about the Kim Porter stuff, and he's telling the truth.
Not me directly, but it's my ex-wife actually she was a model in New York, and like she was really good friends with Kim Porter, who was Diddy's wife. The one who died at 47 from pneumonia. The one who died at 47 from pneumonia. And I was like,
that's what
when that happened, she called me, and this was a couple of years ago now. Maybe not even. A couple of years ago. And she called me like, something's up with that. I go, what do you mean? She's like, oh dude, Kim used to tell me like, it was a bad, like there's a lot of weird shit that I didn't even know that like, but they were like, you know, they'd do photo shoots together or whatever. They were sort of friendly. Like they'd hang out. Like we'd see them out downtown and like I'd hang out with her. Not so much with Dad. I think it was already sort of over there, but like she was really afraid of him, and it.
Really?
Yeah. Like this goes back years, and so like, and she was having these conversations with my ex. I was like, I don't know what like.
A lot of people believe that whatever happened there happened with the woman afterwards, which is Cassie, and supposedly.
No, like I said, like I didn't. You sort of don't think about these things until now. You go back and you're like, holy, like I distinctly remember when Vanessa was like calls me, was like, hey man, Kim Porter died. I go, what? Like we saw her like a couple of weeks, whatever it was, you know, and she goes, yeah man, she was sort of always in fear of something happening. And I was like, maybe it's natural, but like, not a lot of people die at 47 of pneumonia. Like, you know what I mean? It's like pneumonia.
So it's like, the web is webbing. Kanye West has been a self-claimed victim of Corey Handler Gamble. Corey Handler Gamble was at the scene when the cops were there on the Kim Porter death date.
How am I just now finding out that not only was Corey Gamble extremely close to Kim Porter and Diddy, he was there. He was there when the coroners arrived to Kim Porter's house after 911 was called. Am I crazy? That's Corey Gamble, 100%. Not in the blue, the one right behind him. Like, I don't even have a theory. I'm just confused. And we're going to talk about this in the deep dive. But Kim Porter, when she passed away, there was obviously discrepancies in police reports versus coroner reports. Another thing we know for a fact is P. Diddy had her entire home wired with audio listening devices and video cameras. Was her passing caught on camera? Does Diddy have footage of Kim Porter passing away? I have always wondered that. I just don't get it. How has this man been everywhere, have connections with everyone, but he is really only known as Kris Jenner's boyfriend? Corey Gamble, I'm onto your trail. I don't know where it's leading me. But we'll be back to talk about this more.
Just handling, just intel gathering, just making sure there wasn't nothing laying around that might incriminate somebody. I don't know, I wasn't there. The web's webbing. Did you see the rumor, the conspiracy theory? Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs had ordered that gold-plated casket for Kim Porter a month before she died. I don't know if that's real. Maybe we can put some clips in.
And according to this blind item, he allegedly knew she was going to pass away before she did. For years, a few people have kept up the pressure about whether an ex of this rapper and mogul was unalived. Now, with more eyes focused on him, people have more questions. Why did he order a casket before his ex even passed away?
But it says it right here, at 8:30 in the morning, the goddaughter awoke beside the decedent and observed her to be sleeping. She didn't attempt to rouse her. She didn't attempt to wake her up. So maybe she was dead at that time. Somebody also said that the liver rigor something was at a level 3, and that apparently, I'll send you that comment. That apparently means she was dead for a long time. I don't know if that's true. But it says the goddaughter then left for work. Approximately 3 hours later, approximately 11:30 in the morning, Kim Porter was found unresponsive in her bed by her housemates. 911 was dialed. How about that passive voice? 911 was dialed. It must have dialed itself, girl. Who dialed 911? They didn't put it in here, and they did that on purpose. Who called 911? We do have a dispatch call.
Digit 76, rescue 82, cardiac arrest.
And this is where it even starts to get weirder, because the day after Kim Porter died, they were already reporting, BET, Source.com, these other people, already reporting Kim Porter died from pneumonia. Some of them were reporting, Page 6 reported that Kim Porter died from pneumonia and cardiac arrest. But when we hear this dispatch call, and I don't know this dispatch call from Adam, they got stuff beeped out.
76, you're gonna get EMS 14.
I don't know who this dispatch call really came from, who it was for, but it's being presented by TMZ like the call about Kim Porter, and it says, come respond to a cardiac arrest. They say cardiac arrest like 2-3 times in this dispatch call. It's like a minute or too long, and they say cardiac arrest, cardiac arrest. No mention of cough, wheezing, pneumonia, none of that. It's just cardiac arrest.
EMS 14, respond with engine 76 on scene of the cardiac arrest. Rescue 870.
So the medical examiner did an autopsy report at first, and no matter which version of the story you look at, they were not ready to announce publicly a cause of death without further investigation. They needed to do a further investigation. The medical examiners, coroners, the doctors in charge were saying, we don't know what she died from. We got to do some more investigating. And BET and the likes are already saying everything you need to know about what killed Kim Porter. It's pneumonia. So that was weird. Also, it was kind of weird because they showed up and pronounced her dead within 10 minutes. It says that around 11:30, she was found unresponsive in her bed by her housemates. 911 was called. Paramedics and firefighters from Engine 76 of the LA Fire Department responded to the scene. I need to look up a map, see on Google Maps how many minutes that would take. Because you got to throw on all their like firefighter clothes and things. It's very interesting how fast this happened, because it says approximately 11:30, she was found unresponsive. 911 was dialed by who? I don't know. Then it says firefighters/paramedics from Engine 76 of the LA Fire department responded to the scene. They found her lying in her bed. They rolled her over. Then they returned her, rolled her back over. And then the death was determined at 11:40. So in approximately 10 minutes, they drove 8 minutes from the fire station or whatever. Maybe they were speeding. Maybe it was 6 minutes or something. Then got through any gates that maybe were there, any winding roads, anything like that. Got through the security of the house, got through the front door, got into the bedroom, got rolled her over, rolled her back over, and determined all in approximately 10 minutes. Then it took them an hour and a half to call the coroner, even though she had been pronounced dead at 11:40. So I don't know about this timeline, and that's why we do them on this channel. Also, it's a little bit unclear to me whether they gave her antibiotics or not. They kind of put a lot of emphasis on the fact that they gave her these vitamins. She was having respiratory issues. I don't know if she was on some type of inhaler too. If she was, they didn't mention it. They literally tested her for like 3 pages worth of flu. Like they were trying to get the flu, I think. They were trying to find any flu. Let me see what they had said, what they had tested her for all this flu. Oh my God, this is such a long autopsy report. Girl. Okay. Nasal pharyngeal swab, adenovirus, another virus that I can't say because they're gonna put a warning. Literally even saying coronavirus, they're gonna put a warning. Even just saying it at all. And I'm not even talking about that because this was 2 years before that. They tested for 229E, HKU1, and L63, OC43, metapneumovirus, rhinovirus, influenza A, influenza B, para-influenza virus 1, para-influenza virus 2, para-influenza virus 3, virus 4. They tested her for every damn flu. They just wanted one to stick, I feel. I don't know, maybe it's just because she had like, lung issues or whatever, but I don't know. I don't know. So she tested negative for all this flu, all this virus, all this. So there were some bruises on her. There was bruises on her upper left arm, her upper right arm. There was a puncture wound on her hand. And I thought that was from, maybe the IVs or something could have been. There was red spots. We can put it here, but it was like red spots around a bruise. There was like a green discoloration on her stomach. Her nose was bleeding when the coroner was moving her neck and stuff. Her right nostril, I think that's what it means, Nare, I think that means nostril. That had blood in it. She had foam in her mouth. And so some people were saying, maybe that looks like she had maybe some type of seizure. Maybe she did have a cardiac event, but it was caused by the pneumonia. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I certainly do think that it's worth taking a second look, because when the police and the paramedics and everybody arrived on the scene, it says it in here, no foul play suspected. But now we have people saying she was poisoned and murdered. I'll be sure is saying that the same thing happened to him or something similar. You're really gonna need to be calling Homeland Security. And we did kind of find like a little bit of possible suspects for who this goddaughter is, which I'm not saying she did anything wrong. Maybe she was just there with her godmother. But I don't know. I don't know who the goddaughter is. I don't know why they didn't name anybody's names. Actually, I do know why. But it seems suspicious to me, and I think they need to reopen it. And there's one thing that I don't know why this is my 3rd video I've made on this, and I just keep forgetting. But there is a part in here that does talk about. Let me just read it. It's in the scene description. All right. So in most autopsy reports and coroner's reports and investigation reports I've seen, they do a brief description of the scene where the person was found. It was a well-furnished, moderately well-organized master bedroom at the northeast end of a 2-story multi-bedroom house in a residential area in the above location. The bed was noted along the south wall of the room. Multiple unopened and partially empty bottles of water, Pedialyte, and sports drinks were noted on a nightstand east of the bed and also on a dresser. So the room has water bottles all over. Some of them are drank from, some of them are not open. Pedialyte and sports drinks, I'm assuming like Gatorade type drinks, kind of bottles kind of dispersed. So in my mind, I'm getting the image of like, a room, what it looks like when you're sick in a room. You have the flu or you're just sick and you're just in that room and you're just kind of drinking Pedialyte or whatever, like in my mind. Cups containing what appeared to be tea and water. Bam Margera had some tea and then he had a seizure or ate. And then they said he had pneumonia. Remember when Bam Margera had pneumonia and then he came out and said, I don't have pneumonia? He told me he did not have pneumonia. He told me.
I thought they said he had.
There's TMZ articles that say Bam Margera battling pneumonia. we'll put them. So cups containing what appeared to be tea and water, a box marked azithromycin tablets, and a partially empty bottle of Tylenol were also noted on the nightstand east of the bed. Bowls containing what appeared to be tomato soup were noted in the room. So she was, it's sick. She's sick. Tomato soup, put the bowl. Well, they probably didn't taste it. They probably just said, it looks like it. They did not collect one. What if it was contaminated with Enterococcus faecalis? Did you ever think about it that way? So azithromycin tablets is an antibiotic. I would like to know if the box had any missing from it, or was it just a box sitting there? They did not collect any evidence from this scene. None. So there's bowls with what appears to be probably soup, a partially empty bottle. This is groundbreaking. I can't believe I left this out of my video already I made yesterday, but a partially empty bottle of zolpidem tartrate, which was not prescribed to the decedent, was noted in a drawer in the master bedroom. That is Ambien. And I hear it in my mind. It's like hearing voice. I'm hearing voices. She had a partially empty bottle of Ambien in her dresser, and all I could hear in my mind was, day 600 of trying not to become schizophrenic. Jay-Z growling, city never sleep, better slip you Ambien. New York. Why is this Ambien? Now, that raises all kinds of questions to me. Did she take that Ambien? It says it was not prescribed to her. Maybe it was the goddaughter, maybe it wasn't, but who was taking the Ambien? And if she was taking the Ambien, why didn't it show up in her toxicology report? What is Ambien? I don't know. It literally says a partially empty bottle of zolpidem tartrate, which was not prescribed to Kim Porter, was noted in a drawer in the master bathroom. I really need a coroner or somebody to look at. I don't know. Y'all, I'm doing is reading a story. I'm using my English degree to read the story. So she was observed lying in the bed. What is supine? That on your back? Partially on her right side with her head to the south and feet to the north. The right side of her face resting against a pillow. The right arm bent. The right hand resting against the right cheek. So like the left arm was also bent and resting against the left side with her left hand near the right side of her abdomen. The right leg was slightly bent and resting on the bed. The left leg was extended straight out and resting over the right leg. No evidence was collected for this case. No foul play suspected.
Miss Porter, how's everything with you?
A shocked and devastated Diddy spotted at the home where his ex mysteriously died.
I mean, this moment is special for me and my family.
Her good friend Kimora Lee Simmons appearing inconsolable at the house. Porter's body found after a desperate call to 911.
You and Diddy have some fantastic upgrade.
Kim's untimely death raising questions and sending shockwaves through Hollywood.
He had vital information on the cause of her death that was contradictory to what the coroner after him had stated.
Trifling, and more trifling. So that's so dead wrong. Trifling.
Please do not send any hate or honestly comments of any kind to anyone mentioned in this video on behalf of me or yourself. The purpose of this video is to give my commentary and opinion on matters of public concern. Thank you. We all know Kim Porter, Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs' ex-girlfriend and also mother of at least 3 of his children, including those twins. Well, Kim tragically passed away at her home in Toluca Lake, California, November 15th, 2018. Now this is basically like right there in LA. Initially there was some confusion around her cause of death. It didn't immediately get released, but eventually her cause of death was listed as lobar pneumonia. There were reports that she had flu-like symptoms and stuff like that. A little over a week after her passing, Diddy eulogized Kim at her funeral in her hometown of Columbus, Georgia, with a custom gold gilded casket. Many celebrities, including Usher, Mary J. Blige, Lil' Kim, and Russell Simmons, attended the ceremony, which ended with fireworks. Now, the circumstances surrounding Kim's death, and in particular, the circumstances surrounding the autopsy report, have been widely criticized online. And they've also been contested by not only fans online, but also people that actually knew Kim Porter herself. There's also this whole side plot about the coroner who allegedly and reportedly was initially assigned to this case, Ed Winters. Well, he was responsible for a bunch of people's autopsies and stuff. We'll get into more of this later, but there's a whole side plot about Ed Winters, the coroner, and how he relates into this whole thing. But he died during the investigation, and we'll talk more about that later. Kimberly Antoinette Porter was born in Columbus, Georgia on December 15th, 1970, to parents Sarah Lee Porter and Jake Dudley Porter Jr. According to Kim Porter's mom, Kimberly was destined to be a star since this random time she saw her on the potty. I'm not kidding. It came from this article. Let's read it, because the article has some other interesting tidbits in it as well. Right, so here's the picture, and she's dressed like a little kitty cat. Does she have a tail? Model Kimberly Porter, 19, has the look that's very hot right now. Okay, so the title of this article is, quote, very special little girl. Kimberly goes from CHS to elite of modeling world. 3-year-old Kimberly Porter was sitting on the potty when her mother looked at her father and said, quote, this is going to be a very special little girl. From the looks of current developments, Miss Porter, now 19, is turning out to be a very special woman. The Columbus native recently signed a 1-year self-renewable contract with Elite Modeling Agency, billed as the world's largest and most prestigious modeling agency. Billed as by whomst? Elite handles the careers of 70% of the nation's top models, including supermodels Paulina, Iman, Cindy Crawford, and Naomi Campbell. Oh my God, cut to the 40th birthday.
Received a diamond from Charles.
I didn't receive a diamond, and I'm not going to speak about that. Thank you very much. Kind of dirty looking pebbles. They were dirty. I don't know. When I'm used to seeing diamonds, I'm used to seeing diamonds shiny and in a box, you know. If someone hadn't said they were diamonds, I wouldn't have guessed right away that they were diamonds. I never heard of the term of blood diamonds before.
Quote, I don't believe it, Miss Porter said by telephone from her apartment just outside New York. It's like a dream come true. Since moving to New York in July 1988, Miss Porter, you're talking about Kim, she said she had been keeping company with the who's who of entertainment. She has been a guest of Bill Cosby in his Manhattan brownstone home and has, quote, they put this part in quote, hung out with Malcolm Jamal Warner, Theo of The Cosby Show. Now, look, listen, this article is from like, I don't know what 1994 or something. So I do think it could just be they were using a new slang term, hung out. You know, she said they hung out. Miss Porter, who's dating rap music superstar Al B. Shore, she said through that association, she has met Quincy Jones, Stevie Wonder, Lena Horne, Mike Tyson, and Eddie Murphy. She said those meetings are just part of joining the elite league of modeling. So Kimberly goes on in this article to say, that goes to show it's not where you're from, it's willpower. How does the willpower, what? That goes to show the willpower that she made connections through Bill Cosby? Hold on one second, let me rewind that back. Miss Porter, who's dating Al B. Shore, said through that association, she met Quincy Jones, Stevie Wonder, Lena Horne, Mike Tyson, Eddie Murphy. Those meetings are just part of joining the elite league of modeling. That goes to show it's not where you're from, it's willpower. No, it goes to show it's not where you're from, it's who you know. She got the quote wrong, but I mean, she is only like 19, bless her heart, she don't know. She goes on to say, but you have to make the first move. No one is going to come to you. It can't hurt that Miss Porter carries the ideal modeling height, 5 feet 9.5 inches tall, has 35, 23, 35 measurements, and, quote, the look that's very hot right now, a New York scouting agent said of her. Her ascension to the top ranks of modeling began when Miss Porter captured the, quote, Model of the South title in November 1986 in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. There, she wowed scouting agents, one of whom invited her to New York for a photo shoot with the Wilhelmina Agency, one of the nation's top 3 modeling agencies. She did the shoot during spring break 1987, but nothing materialized. When the Mabel Bailey Fashion College and School of Modeling graduate returned to Hilton Head Island the next year, November 1987, to relinquish her title, that's when she got an offer to do print and runway modeling in Milan. Miss Porter, then 17, declined because she wanted to graduate from Columbus High School, where she was maintaining a 3.0 college prep grade point average and just had been crowned homecoming queen. So she got offered a full-time modeling thing, and she said, no, I want to finish high school because it's important to me to finish high school and to be a lawyer. 17-year-old. She did. She was smart. I think Kimora Lee Simmons might have dropped out of high school to model, if I remember correctly.
She's only 15 years old and is the toast of the international high fashion world. And this gorgeous 6-foot-tall model leads a double life. Part of the time, she's that real-life Cinderella who dresses up for the ball. But back home in St. Louis, Missouri, she's 10th grade student Kimora Perkins.
the gorgeous gowns, and it's, you know, it's easy to get wrapped up in it, but no, it didn't overtake me, because I knew I still had to take off the gown and come home and go back to school, so it was easy to keep my feet on the ground.
Tamara spends 12 weeks out of the school year away from home, working in Europe and New York for the likes of Chanel and Yves Saint Laurent. Although she won't turn 16 until next May, she's remarkably mature and says that she's able to keep her distance from the darker undersides of her seemingly glamorous profession. The Joanne Perkins says it was hard to send her daughter off alone to Europe.
She realized how painful it was for me to let her go and how important it was for her to do well, that it was a sacrifice.
People get caught up on mental and psychological trips, and they get into things like drugs and alcohol, and they're dating people to get certain places, and some people get really confused as to why they're there. There's a lot of things like that going on. Do this will make you better, this will make you prettier, this will make you feel good, and when you're stressed out, drink this will make you feel, oh God, you have to really watch out for that.
Tamara says that she's been able to steer clear of older men who can be considered model groupies.
They don't know how old I am when they approach me. I'm not a 19-year-old, 21-year-old person. And I have men that are 40 years old that want to take me out to dinner. It's just not something that I need to be seen even in right now.
In June 1988, Kim graduated, and in July, she moved to New York. So 1 month after her high school graduation, she moved to New York. And she is quoted of that time as having had said, "Leaving my mom to come here was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do because we're so close. But I knew I had to do it if I was serious about modeling." Her mother, Sarah Porter, the protective custody court, yeah, the whole side note here is randomly that Kim Porter's mom, Sarah Lee Porter, was the director of corrections and custody at the Columbus Juvenile Court. Like, she was like the juvenile detention director in this town. It is from the article, like, Kim Porter's mom talking about Kim Porter, and then Kim saying, like, leaving my mom was one of the hardest things I ever did in my life. And then Kim's mom, Sarah Lee Porter, she goes on to say the reason that she didn't go with Kim is because her mom, which would be Kim Porter's grandmother, has this very historical restaurant right there in town, and Sarah Porter was helping out the mom with the restaurant. So she was kind of over there all alone, a little bit, kind of sort of thing. So, okay, then it starts to get, into what happened once Kim got to New York 1 month after graduating from high school. In New York, Kim said she immediately had a choice of signing with IMG and Faces modeling agencies. She said she chose Faces at the advice of Bill Cosby, whom she had met through associations with a booking agent that befriended her at Hilton Head Island. Okay, so she had a choice between these two elite modeling agencies. Bill Cosby told her to choose Faces modeling agency over IMG, and the article will get into why Bill gave that advice. Quote, "He felt that Kim needed to go with a smaller agency, being that she was just out of high school and then she could gain experience that way." Then it goes on to say that Kim and her mom and Bill Cosby discussed the career move in his home. So they were at Bill Cosby's house, Kim Porter, Sarah Lee Porter, her mother. The dad, no, he's not mentioned here, but Bill Cosby is in the house with Kim Porter and Kim Porter's mom, telling her that she needs to go to Faces modeling agency. Cosby, who invited them there, was a good friend of the owner of Faces, Sue Charney. He was telling her she needed to go there and pick Faces, but we also are told that's his friend who owns it. Now, the devil advocate, counter argument position is, yeah, I would recommend someone to my friend over a huge, CAA or something. So I could see both sides, but this is mind-blowing to me. I did not know this. Maybe this is common knowledge. Maybe this is part of the lore. I did not know that Bill Cosby is responsible for helping Kim Porter at the beginning of her modeling career, which agency in New York she was going to choose. Did you? Associations with a booking agent that befriended her at Hilton Head. Did you ever watch Pretty Little Liars? So a booking agent befriended Kim Porter at Hilton Head at the Model of the South competition, and that booking agent put her in contact with Bill Cosby. Then she and her mother went to meet Bill Cosby at his home at the behest of him, at the invitation of him, and he told them that she needed to sign, out of the two choices, she needs to sign with Faces. We are also told that Bill Cosby knows and is friends with the owner of Faces. So those are things we find out in this article. And the potty thing, which I found to be just, interesting. So we're almost done with this article, then we're gonna get back to everything. But I couldn't go without, every sentence in this article is necessary to the public. Work with faces lasted until just a few weeks ago when she was being photographed for Essence, a magazine targeted largely at Black women. The freelance photographer, who also had photographed for Elite, was so impressed by Kim Porter that he set up an appointment at Elite for booking agents to see her. So she got booked. She was doing a photo shoot with Essence. The photographer there was like a freelance photographer that Essence had hired. And he was so impressed with her that he was like, you have to go and do a audition for Elite model agency or whatever. And that was a big deal back then. It's the biggest one. They had Naomi Campbell and Iman and Cindy Crawford. Well, she does go to this audition. The agents saw her and they were wowed. Widely respected John Casablanca, owner of Elite, even interrupted a meeting to see her. He wanted to sign her on the spot, which is considered a rarity for Casablanca, but Kim talked to her manager first and signed a week later. When someone gets a nod from an agency the likes of Elite, that means somebody sees star quality here, said Norman Carr, executive director of Men's Fashion Association in New York. He goes on to say, when you think of how many Brooke Shields and Christy Brinkley lookalikes they turn down every day, Kim Porter must be something very special. So she was talented, she's getting all this praise. She's 19 years old. They tried to sign her in high school, but she was like, please, let me finish school, freaks. I just want a homecoming queen. Please. Anyway, back to Kim's early life. Kim's dad would seemingly abandon Kim and her mother, Sarah, in the 70s when Kim was just a baby, which apparently prompted Sarah to file for divorce publicly in the newspaper against Kim Porter's dad in 1974. And here's the newspaper clipping. Don't take my word for it. Now, this guy, what's his name? Jake Dudley Porter Jr. Mr. Porter Jr. does seem to have come back around into Kim's life, though, since the whole disappearing act of 1974, because we do see pictures of a man who does resemble Kim Porter. I could certainly see a family resemblance here. And she's calling him dad, daddy's girl, or, whatever. So it does seem like maybe there was some reconciliation and he came back around into the picture eventually. Reports from the time do indicate that it is possible that he might have been a little bit of a troublemaker. I don't really know. Just put the little article right here. He was wanted for something. But Kim would start her modeling career when she was only 11 years old, taking fashion and modeling lessons at a local agency in her hometown in Columbus, Georgia. And this was called Mabel Bailey's School for Modeling and Refining Girls. I have a suspicion that Miss Mabel also was like a debutante coach, but we'll get to that in a moment. So, after she started her modeling career, she would eventually make her way to high school at Columbus High School in Columbus, Georgia, where she was a member of the varsity cheerleading team, secretary of the Homemakers of America Club, and ultimately the homecoming queen. And as that article we already just now read discussed, once Kim was in high school, she was very active in all these clubs and leagues and things, but she did continue to pursue fashion and modeling by walking in local fashion shows, modeling for local businesses and commercials, and competing in those modeling competitions and the beauty pageants. By the time Kim was 17 and a full 6 years into her modeling career, she had the opportunity to quit high school and model full-time, as that article discussed. But she, like we already said, wanted to stay in school. She wanted to have a fallback plan. She had said she wanted to be a corporate lawyer. Now, Kim was also a high society debutante, believe it or not, which I totally believe it because she is so poised in that Southern beauty pageant way that it didn't surprise me to know that she had formally learned these etiquette rules and things. Now, if you don't know what that is, a debutante is a young woman of high social status and an upper class aristocratic background who's finally reached the age to be presented to society in a formal debut. Kim participated in the debutante season of 1986 in Columbus, Georgia, and made her official debut among the Orchettes Civic Society at its 14th biennial debutante ball. Now, the purpose of this coming out or the debut was to display the woman's eligibility to bachelors and their families with a view to marriage within a certain circle of clout.
Oh dear, what can the matter be? Oh.
The debutante girls, including Kimberly Antoinette Porter, Antoinette. The spelling of Antoinette is like Twinnette or something. So she was a debutante. She did the Orchettes Civic Society debutante, 14th biennial debutante ball. The season lasts almost a whole year. It's from like Easter time through like the Christmas ball is the big shindig. It's the big shebang. It's like the big thing. So what they would teach these girls over the course of it is kind of similar to the whole Bridgerton thing, to be honest. It's very similar. They would teach them how to behave in polite society, how to act in certain situations that they would be expected to behave in, kind of like, you know, finishing school type of thing. And then at the ball at around Christmas time, that would be their opportunity to show, you know, everything that they had learned over the season. And historically, it would be like, you know, hopefully to get a husband. Kim graduated in 1988 and moved to New York shortly after to pursue her modeling career. At some point, Kim was definitely taking gigs up also in the Atlanta area in her home state of Georgia. It's a little bit disputed kind of when exactly she lived in New York versus when she lived in Atlanta, but just know that she did live in both of those places at some time shortly after her high school graduation in the 5 years after that. So she would eventually land a lot of gigs. I mean, one would be in 1989 in Atlanta with Atlanta-based groups in music videos and even a couple acting roles. Here is a Big Daddy Kane music video with Al B. Sure that she did in 1989 for a song called Smooth Operator. In 1993, she was featured as the romantic lead in Heavy D and the Boys' Truthful music video. And y'all, there's this man licking her feet and all kind of weird stuff. I don't know, Heavy D is just sitting there lurking from another room, sitting in a chair and watching. It's very much so giving Cassie freak off allegations in the lawsuit, artistic representation. I'm also just wondering another thing too, because I'm pretty sure how she's acting and dressing and behaving in this music video is not what she learned at Miss Maybelline Porter and School for Girls and Refinement or whatever, but she was really into this character. So anyway, the next year she was in another Heavy D and the Boys music video. This time it was for the Nuttin' But Love, Nuttin' But Love music video, which seems to kind of just recreate like a brightly colored Skittles brothel. And Kim Porter isn't like the lead in this one, but she is in it and they flash her image. And also in the late 80s, when Kim still was a teenager, she had secured several modeling contracts and gigs with major modeling agencies in New York. Eventually, Kim would become the receptionist at Uptown Records, which was owned by Andre Harrell. Andre Harrell also happens to be one of Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs' mentors and one of the guys that really helped Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs get off his feet in the music industry. Not only that, but at the time, Diddy was working at Uptown Records as the head of the A&R department, which is like the artist, scouting, and developing department. So he's already working there. Kim Porter becomes the receptionist there, and we know the rest. Now, there are many, many rumors about Andre Harrell and P. Diddy and Uptown and all that, including allegations and lawsuits. But I'm not gonna be diving into all that today. Just search their names on YouTube. I'm sure you're gonna get a gist of it if you're really interested in that side plot. Anyway, so Kim started dating Diddy in the early 90s when the whole hip hop culture thing was also on a monumental rise throughout the broader collective consciousness. There's actually this interview or whatever of Diddy reminiscing on the time that he first fell in love with Kim Porter. He said that it was, of course, when he saw her with her then boyfriend, because you know he ain't gonna fall for somebody single. He gotta go after somebody who's got a boyfriend. So she's dating, and I'll be sure at the time, who was her boyfriend at the time, but eventually was also her child's father. And Diddy saw them together in the studio, and he just knew he wanted a girl like that for himself. And he didn't just mean like that, he meant that one. He wanted that girl. Now, Diddy does have a history of wanting taken women. He also did the same with Cassie, but more on that in a minute. So Diddy and Kim get together, and Diddy eventually adopts Kim Porter's son with Al B. Sure. That would be Quincy. So he adopts Quincy, and then they go on to have a son of their own. That's Christian. That's the DNA carbon copy of Diddy. The one looked just like him. That's the one that they had together, their first born together son. I can't shake your theory about Quincy. Anyway, they went on to have a son of their own, but their relationship would end in 1999 when Diddy started dating Jennifer Lopez, who he had cheated on with Kim Porter the entire time, and vice versa. He was cheating on them with each other because they both thought they were, you know, J-Lo and Kim Porter, and here's Diddy running back and forth. Eventually, Diddy and J-Lo broke up in 2001, and he goes back to Kim Porter. And then Kim gives birth to their twins in 2006. But that same year, 2006, while Cassie was signing to Diddy's Bad Boy Records, rumors started swirling that they were having yet more affairs behind each other's backs. And these little blind item rumors would later be revealed as true. Diddy and Cassie would ultimately end up making their relationship public the next year in 2007, the same year that they had the party before Britney's infamous. That was the same year they made their relationship public. Because at the party that we referenced in the Britney video, Cassie and Diddy had not, I don't think, announced they were public yet. Remember in Cassie's lawsuit, she was like, he took me to this party and my boyfriend was there and he was, remember that? Anyway, it's all happening on top of each other, webbing. In addition to the Cassie relationship rumors, it was widely reported that the real final straw for Kim leaving Diddy wasn't really the Cassie infidelity cheating in and of itself. It actually was that he had reportedly gotten another woman pregnant while Kim and Diddy were still dating. And adding another baby into the mix was just a bridge too far for Kim. It seems like, according to these reports, Kim was like, the cheating is one thing could even be able to get over, but like, no, now you're bringing another baby into the mix? No. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just telling you what I found. Oh, that 2007 breakup is when Diddy and Kim Porter would finally be done for good, at least in the public's eye, as far as we know about and as far as was reported. But that didn't stop them from being very friendly to each other online and downright, honestly, flirtatious. Also, just as a side note, Cassie filed her lawsuit on the exact same day as Kim Porter's death anniversary day. Things to think about. Diddy would post on his Instagram on November 18th, 2018, in a now deleted post. For the last 3 days, I've been trying to wake up out of this nightmare, but I haven't. I don't know what I'm going to do without you, baby. I miss you so much. Today, I'm going to pay tribute to you. I'm going to try and find the words to explain our unexplainable relationship. We were more than best friends. We were more than soulmates. We were some other shit. And I miss you so much. Super Black Love, Black Heart. On November 19th, 2018, the LA coroner would call for an additional investigation into Kim's death. Specifically, they wanted to look more into what caused the death of Kim Porter, stating that the cause of death would be deferred pending further tests.
Here at home, news tonight in the death of model and actress Kim Porter. The LA County coroner now calling for, quote, additional investigation, saying the cause of death is deferred for further testing. Porter was music mogul Diddy's ex-girlfriend and mother to 3 of his children. She was discovered at her LA home after she had reportedly been suffering from flu-like symptoms. She was only 47 years old.
And the conspiracy theory world on the internet went absolutely wild when this happened. According to the autopsy report, Kim had been feeling unwell with flu-like symptoms for about 4 days before her death. She had symptoms of coughing, congestion, sore throat, and body aches, and those worsened over the next few days. She was given Toradol by her doctor, which is an anti-inflammatory drug, as well as saline and vitamins via IV. The day before her death, it was reported that there was a streak of blood in her phlegm. It's also stated that the night before her death, she watched TV with her family and went to bed before she was found by her goddaughter the next morning. Now, I mentioned this earlier. We have to get back to this coroner in LA, Ed Winters. This guy is responsible for some very high-profile autopsies. Okay, let me just name a few. Paul Walker, Corey Haim, Brittany Murphy, Whitney Houston, and none other than Michael Jackson. So basically, Kim Porter and Kimora Lee Simmons, that's Russell Simmons' ex-wife, they were best friends, Kim and Kimora. And Kim Porter mysteriously dies all of a sudden. Of pneumonia. Kimora was one of the first people to arrive at Kim Porter's house after she seemingly died of pneumonia. But they ruled it as a death from natural causes, aka pneumonia. And maybe they could ask Corey Gamble, who was on the scene. I don't know. But this woman is saying that Kimora also had another best friend in this trio, and her name is Erica Kennedy. We've mentioned her before in reference to Kim Porter on this channel, but she's the one who wrote that book called Bling that was published by the Weinstein Company, and then the movie rights were bought by it and all that. Then the lady dies. Then we couldn't get her autopsy report because they changed the laws in Florida. Remember all that? Well, that was another one of their best friends, and she's also now passed away. Now, Erica was the godmother to Kimora's kids and was the maid of honor at her wedding to Russell Simmons. And Kim Porter was also a maid of honor at Kimora and Russell's wedding. Here's a picture. Now, Erica Kennedy, she also had a connection to Diddy and also died after releasing a book, which also became a New York Times bestseller. Kim Porter was rumored to have been writing a book herself before she died. Ed Winters is a reputable coroner to high-profile celebrities, and he wrote that the cause of death of Kim Porter's death was homicide by poisoning. But then he was fired and another coroner was hired who put that it was pneumonia.
Now that her family's kind of allegedly wanting to have her body exhumed, some people do find Ed Winter's death a little suspicious, mainly due to the timing of it all. So I do, however, want to add that Ed Winter was a 71-year-old man, and that the cause of his death was listed as natural causes. As far as the Kim Porter case goes, he was the initial coroner on the Kim Porter case, and allegedly he had vital information on the cause of her death that was contradictory to what the coroner after him had stated. Allegedly, Ed Winter did not say the cause of the death was pneumonia, and he allegedly found other reasons to believe that it could have been foul play, and he deemed the results problematic, meaning that there is something else that proves it may have not been natural causes, as was alleged that there was also chemicals found in her body that shows that it was induced, meaning put there. His findings were filed as pending until further investigation. He was then taken off the case, and a new coroner was put on to the case, and that's when we learned the results of the autopsy, that there was a finding of pneumonia.
Okay, so what I just read you is an allegation across the internet. It's an accusation, and it could be true. But I want to just state here for the record, I was unable to verify or confirm with any evidence that that's true, other than like Jaguar Wright saying it. Like, that's the closest degree of separation I can get, because I actually never found any articles which said Ed Winter was doing Kim Porter's autopsy report. The closest I could come to it is maybe he had become like the head of the department and a coroner under him was doing the autopsy report. But even that it's unclear exactly when he served at that post. So I'm not saying it's not true, but I'm just saying I was unable to find independent confirmation of that quote, but I wanted to leave it in here because that is something that is still widely alleged. And I wouldn't have a hard time believing, but I was not able to find evidence of that. Now, Erica Kennedy, the bling book lady, she started her career working as a publicist with various top fashion designers, including Tommy Hilfiger. Oh my God, this connects back to Kamala. Oh my God, Kamala Diddy up.
She dated some prominent men, including in 2001, former talk show host Montel Williams.
She started her career working as a publicist with various top fashion designers, including Tommy Hilfiger and Diddy. In 2004, her novel Bling, about a mogul dating a really young girl, became a New York Times bestseller. Now, she did die after that. And now you can't really find a copy of Bling anywhere. I mean, thank God some of y'all did send me the link where you can read it on archive and read it on different places, but it's very difficult to track down this book Bling, and it's supposed to be fiction, but it's seeming like it might have been based on a true story, if you know what I mean. So I'm sure we've already done so by now, but if we haven't, I'll put in a little bit of like what some of the speculation and rumors are concerning Kim Porter and her untimely passing. There's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of theories, but I think the call to action that we can all see people having in common is that people are hoping and praying and wishing that the death of Kim Porter and the investigation into it will be reopened, given in light of what we have now learned about Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs. That may happen, that may not. Yes, I just want to come out here and let y'all know that Kim Porter was a highly successful, beautiful, talented, smart, accomplished model who wanted to be a corporate lawyer, far and beyond and removed from Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs and his debauchery. So she's much more than just his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend, baby's mom. Okay. Rest in peace, Kimberly. That's all I have for today. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Love you, Minnie. Goodbye.
BJ investigate, she gonna find the truth. She gonna crack the case here. It's not a lie when it's paperwork. She will expose the truth. Daily updates for you. Better subscribe like I knew you would. We gotta stand for what's right. We gotta do for the good, yeah. I don't know what y'all have heard. That surprise witness got the word. We don't believe in Scientology. I do not need your mind control on me. We don't need your conservatorships, no. We doing right, what's right for the kids. Whoa.
Y'all cannot control me. I control my own mind. You could've controlled me then, still not in this lifetime. Can you send us down the pink angel from the heavens of truth? You don't want to debate with BJ. The studying law is what she do.